Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're continuing our look at the Scourge themed decks. We're going to look at the green-black deck Max Attax. Yeah, let's just get into that. Let's start looking at it. So the deck list here, we have 22 creatures, 1 sorcery, 8 instants, 3 enchantments, 26 land, mana curve off to the side there. Let's start looking at it. So I guess let's explain what the theme of the deck is first. So Scourge, we didn't see it so much in the Goblin deck which we looked at last time, because that was a bunch of cheap goblins that you just, play as quickly as possible. So this one actually plays up to Scourge's one of Scourge's themes, which along with one of the other theme decks that we'll look at, but this one does it as well. So Scourge was still tribal to a point. Like Onslaught and Legions were. It still used Morph. It still had cycling, all that kind of stuff that had been in Onslaught and Legions. But what Scourge did, it did 3 things. So firstly, it introduced Storm. Great, what a legacy to have. One of the most broken mechanics ever. Secondly, it sort of had was trying to have like a dragon tribal theme, but honestly that didn't really work too well because at this time in the game basically dragons were always rare, and there weren't too many. There were some dragons released. Dragon Speaker Shaman was released in Scourge, but that was quite a tiny theme. And then the theme, the third kind of gimmick, which is being shown in this deck and one of the others we'll look at, is basically size matters. So not power and toughness necessarily, but mana value, or converting mana cost, as it was called back then. So there was this theme of a lot of spells caring about converted mana cost. And as we see here, we've got a bunch of creatures. I say a bunch, we got like 3 really. So we have 3 Fierce Empaths that lets you tutor up a creature with mana value 6 or more. We have Croson Drover, which makes your creatures spells with mana value 6 or more 2 less to cast. And we have Kurgadon, who's a 3/3, and when you play a creature spell with mana value 6 or more, he gets 3 +1/+1 counters. And that is kind of it in terms of specifically caring about 6 or more. There are a few cards in this deck that care about just mana value in general, which obviously they get better the higher the mana value you can find. But that's kind of the theme of this deck, is that high mana values and kind of also a bit of beast tribal, which is weird, but seeing as we had a beast deck in Onslaught with Devastation. But anyway, so we've talked about those first 3 cards. We also have 2 Elvish Aberrations, which hits one of the it's a creature with mana value 6 or more. It's a 4 or 5, taps to give you 3 green. So gives you a really good boost, but obviously you've got to get 6 mana to get him out first. He also has Forest Cycling. So this is the set where we get basic land cycling. Well, it's not basic land cycling, is it? It's just land cycling, because it can get non-basic forests, which does matter. So it's exactly the same as normal cycling, except you pay, you discard it, and you get a land rather than a instead of just straight up drawing a card. So it's pretty good. Definitely mattered in Scourge, because a lot of the cards are really high value, so you needed ways to definitely get land, to hit land drops to be able to play your spells. So we just have a bunch of expensive creatures here. So one of the rares of the deck is Root Elemental. 6 mana, 6/5, has Morph. For 7, when it is turned face up, you can put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, which, get a free creature. Well, it's not a free creature, paying 7, so I don't know really how free it is. I suppose you're still getting the surprise of like morphing it and suddenly getting a 6/5, where your opponent originally thought it was a 2/2. Like expensive creatures like this are good to put morph on, just so you can get them down early if you really need to. But yeah, I'm not sure how useful that that morph ability is really, because paying 7 to morph it usually say a lot of the creatures in here are already costing that much anyway, so I don't know really how much of a discount you're getting. I suppose you can do this at instant speed though. 2 Spitting Gorners, 5 mana for a 3/4 with reach, has morph. Yep. 2 Symbiotic Beasts, 6 mana for a 4/4. When it dies, you get 4 1/1 green insects. Yep, that's fine. Perfectly fine, I think. Adds to the board when it dies. And 2 Titanic Bulvox, which is just a big dumb trampoline. 7/4 for 8 mana, has morph as well. Yep, fine. I say, like, there is kind of like a beast tribal theme here, but it doesn't really do anything with it, honestly. A single Tree Spring Lorien. This one is actually pretty bad. I think out of all the morph beasts, this one is pretty bad. 6 mana for a 5/4, so it's actually below. It's quite below curve. And it has morph for 6 mana. Like, its morph cost is identical to its mana value, or casting cost even. Like, yeah, just really bad. There's a lot better this could have been. Venom Spout Brachus, 7 mana for 5/5. That does damage to flying creatures. Yep, fine. And 2 Wirewood Guardians, which is another Forest Cyclone. It's just big 6/6 for 7. Yeah, so like basically just a lot of big dumb creatures. Oh, and then because this is meant to be a green-black deck, but it is very weighted towards green. So I think this is the only black creature. A single Gluttonous Zombie who's just a 5/5. 5/5. He's not 5 for 5 at all. He's 5 mana for a 3/3 with Fear. Which is like, it's an okay creature, but yeah, it's just so weird that it's only the only black creature. So then moving into the spells, so we have 3 Accelerated Mutations. So this is like one of the spells I was talking about that cares about mana value. So 5 mana instant. Target creature gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the highest mana value amongst permanents you control. So obviously the dream here is to get sort of like +6 or +7 with this, which makes it like a fairly decent though expensive pump spell. Obviously, I think because Giant Growth gives +3/+3. I'm trying to think like what's the bare minimum for this for it to be worth playing. I think probably +5/+5 is probably about the minimum you would want to hit with this. I think anything less than that, you're not getting your mana value for it. But yeah, this could potentially be sort of like because the most expensive thing I think here is 8 mana, so +8/+8 for 5 mana at instant speed. Not awful. That can be game out of nowhere. But yeah, it's all right. This I mean, honestly, this could have probably actually been like 1 cheaper, and I think it would have been fine. 2 Sprouting Vines. So 3 mana, instant with Storm. Lovely broken Storm. Search your library for a basic land. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, I mean, it's expensive. The fact that it's instant is okay because it means you can cast it at the end of an opponent's turn, where hopefully they've cast a couple of spells. So you get the Storm copies and search up some lands that way. If you can get 2 off this, I think it's okay. Because like I don't think you're ever really going to benefit from this on your turn, because like so much of your stuff is so expensive to be able to cast one of your creatures and then do this. You'd have to have so much mana, like searching up the land would be almost redundant. So I don't understand actually about Scourge. It's like they had this theme of like, let's have big expensive creatures, but then also introduce a mechanic that cares about playing lots of cheap spells so you can get the copies. I don't really understand. Sprouting Vines is fine. The fact that it's instant honestly saves it. If it was sorcery, I think it would be pretty bad. 2 Chill Hauntings on the subject of bad. So 2 mana instant. As an additional cost to play it, you have to exile creature cards from your graveyard. Target creature gets -X/-X till end of turn. So I don't understand this card. Like, I think it's like not a great design at all. Because if it's not fair to compare it to like Last Gasp from Ravnica, but that was 2 mana. It just gave -3/-3. And it was and that was fine. So for this mana value, you really want to be exiling 3 cards, I think, to make it worthwhile. but I don't know. It's like such a cheap spell. You kind of want to use it early game, but then you're not necessarily going to have creatures in your graveyard. I guess you've got your land cyclers who could get in your graveyard. I don't think there's any ways of reanimating stuff in this deck. So basically, once a creature hits your graveyard, it's dead forever. Yeah. I wonder if this was meant to originally be like exile opponents' creature cards from their graveyard. I don't know. Either way, I don't think it's super good. It definitely shouldn't be an uncommon, which I've just noticed. That's a really disappointing uncommon. Smother is much better. Much better as a removal spell. Destroys a creature with mana value 3 or less, can't be regenerated. If you were playing in the kind of like the biosphere of playing Scourge decks, this wouldn't be so useful again because there's so much expensive stuff running around. But it's perfectly fine normally. So then we have a couple of auras. So we have 2 Dragon Fangs. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 on trample. Whenever a creature with mana value 6 or more enters the battlefield, you can return Dragon Fangs from your graveyard to play attached to it, which is pretty good. A lot of your creatures, although very big, don't really have trample, which is a shame. But I suppose like you put this on an early creature, it dies, Dragon Fangs is then in your graveyard, you play something bigger, and then this comes back, so you can kind of keep reusing it. It's okay. There's the blue one of this Dragon Wings is much better because you can cycle it, so then it's in your graveyard ready straight away. And then Dragon Shadow, which is exactly the same, gives +1/+0 on fear, and it has the same. If you play an expensive creature, it comes back from your graveyard onto it, which is fine. And then Final Punishment, 5 mana sorcery. The other area of the deck. Target player loses life equal to the damage dealt to them this turn. Perfectly fine card, can again cause game kind of out of nowhere. I don't know if it's really fits in this deck. It just feels a bit weird as an inclusion, honestly. But we'll talk about it when we get to the what could have been. Because I feel like you've got such big creatures, you're already attacking with them. I feel like you're going to do a lot of damage when they get through. I don't know about Final Punishment. It's okay, I guess. It's okay. It would have a wow factor, I guess, for a new player who opens it and sees him, but like, whoa, I basically get to double the damage for a turn, which, I guess it's okay. And then we have 2 Temple of the False God. This is like a commander staple, I think. Taps to give you 2 colorless, but only if you have 5 or more lands. It counts itself, actually, so that's okay. And then 2 Barren Moor and 2 Tranquil Thicket. Yep, these are all fine as non-basic lands. So what could have been? Well, firstly, let's talk about that Final Punishment, which I don't think really fits this at all. Actually, I'm not sure why there's black in this deck at all, actually, because there's so few black cards. I feel like this could have been mono green, and it would have been fine. But anyway, one of the potential errors I thought could be Ancient Ooze, which is this really big, dumb, fun creature. It's 7 mana, and its power and toughness equal to the total converted mana value of all creatures you control. All other, doesn't count itself. So that could potentially be like really fun and dumb, just like up to I'm a 30/30 ooze. It doesn't have trample, but that's why you have Dragon Fangs, I suppose. That could have been fun. Krosan Warchief, like I said, there is kind of meant to be this beast tribal theme, but nothing is done with it. Krosan Warchief would have been, I think, a fun card from Scourge Show Off. 3 mana for a 2/2, makes your beasts cheaper, and you can regenerate your beasts. So I think that would have been fine to have in there. Plays into this theme as well, reducing the cost of your expensive creatures. Twisted Abomination, I have no idea why Twisted Abomination is not in this deck because it fits it so well. It's a creature with mana value 6 or more. It has swamp cycling, so you can cycle it away to get land. I just don't know why this wasn't included. It seems like an absolute shoe-in for the deck, honestly. And then Krosan Tusker, which didn't make it into, I think, any Onslaught theme deck, and I don't understand because it's just so perfect. 7, so it's mana value 6 or more. It's a beast. It has a cycling ability where you can get a land. So it helps get you land drops. You can play it late game, and it's a big creature. I don't understand. Krosan Tusker, really, really missed out in Onslaught block. So in summary, what do I think about this one? I'm not a fan of it. honestly. The black elements of it are barely doing anything. Because what you got? You got the gluttonous zombie. You have chill haunting, which is like not a great removal spell. You have a single smother, and then you have a dragon shadow and a final punishment. It's really not doing much. I think this could have just been mono green, and it would have been fine, like mono green beasts. Which would have made it maybe a little boring, but I think it would have been better for it. Yeah, I think it's. I think the theme here is really confused. This is the thing with, like, I get a slight tangent here, but this is the problem with kind of like third set syndrome, where the third set introduces like a new gimmick like this. Oh, like big mana value matters, but there's not enough cards in the card pool to really play around with it. So really, what we got is the accelerated mutation, like Croton Drover and Fierce Empath, I guess, and like Kurgodon, and like those cards aren't bad. It's just they need more. There needs to be more to like make it work, I guess. So it feels a little half baked. I guess a little incomplete, a little imperfect. So I mean, I don't know how to play. I feel like you would just a lot of the game you would just be playing land and passing because so much of the stuff is expensive. So maybe wouldn't be a great play experience. But that's just what I think after looking at the deck. Like I've not played this one. I didn't own it. But if you did own it and you did play it, please put a comment below. Let me know how it worked. If you made changes to it or anything. Yeah. But I'll be back next time to look at another Scourge theme deck, which, spoiler, it has a very similar theme. But we'll get to that in a few days. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you for watching and listening, and have a good day.